There will be a point where I'm 7 o'clock drunk at noon. Okay, so here we are, Moto Stories, Unkie Phil, and John Meckelfresh, one of my absolute best buddies. Dink, there we go. Cocktails for everybody. Yeah. Delicious, just the right amount of bourbon. Okay, so one of the things that we like to do is we like to go to swap meets.
Heck yeah.
Love going to swap meets. Love going to see a bunch of old motorcycles in a field and then trying to find the one that's the diamond in the rough, so to speak. And a thing about swap meets that we've learned over the years, and we've been doing this for a really long time, is it's good to have focus. It's good to have laser beam focus. Now, historically, what I've done in the past 5 or 6 years is I've said, okay, at this swap meet, I'm only looking for this particular kind of bike.
Yep.
It helps you filter out the distractions.
Well, sometimes you're looking for a bike to complete a bike you already have.
Oh, ain't that the
parts
truth.
bike is that's really the golden jewel. Is like you're looking at your bike, and sometimes what this bike needs is another bike.
Yeah, for a long period of time, my fetish was the Honda Black Bomber. So the Honda Black Bomber CB450, it's a very, very misunderstood bike. Some people love them, some people hate them. I am nuts for Black Bombers, but it takes a while to find a good one. And sometimes you do. You got to kiss a lot of toads before you find the right prince. And I've done that. So when you're going out and you're hunting at a swap meet, we've learned a few things over the years. Here's a couple of tips when you're going out to a swap meet. The first thing is don't bid with money you don't have. Take money with you. Make sure you've got cash going into the deal.
Sell your bikes before you get there, preferably.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Go there with a wad of cash to buy stuff. Yeah. I mean,
either go there to buy or go there to sell, but don't try to do both because you're not going to be able to do both. Sell your bikes ahead of time is a really good move. Remember that any swap meet in the world is a buyer's market. People like to think that, oh, it's a seller's market because the values are up right now. No, those sellers wouldn't have any juice without the buyers.
The week before the swap meet, I'll meet you at the swap meet with the bike so you can pick it up.
That's a really good tip. And then it's not bad to have eBay auctions running that will end at the last day of the swap meet so that people who are there, or we're gonna go there anyway, can see your bike and close the deal before Sunday, right? Because, oh, what's this bike worth? Well, I don't know, dude. It's listed on eBay right now, and all these other people are looking at it too. So you can really maximize your sales potential if you do your eBay listings to end on the Sunday at the swap meet. And that's great too. If somebody comes up and tries to lowball you, you can be like, well, I don't know. According to my phone, on this bike right now, eBay is showing that I got this bike up to 1,800. So your offer of 12 is that's not gonna tow any freight. You are literally there to sell your bike. So by making the decision, I'm going to go hunt at the swap meet, is a really, really good thing to do. Now, one of my secrets is I make sure that with me, on my person, I've got enough tools that I can get a bike running and can check a bike out in the field. And another thing that I love is I love a small 12-volt battery.
Oh, yeah.
A little tiny, even if it's just for an alarm system. What people don't realize is the security lighting that says exit requires a 6 or a 12-volt battery. And they're very tiny, they're real little. Get one, $15 at Home Depot. Just literally, 15 bucks. Get one, charge it up, make sure it's perfect, take it with you, and have a couple of alligator clips. And if you've got that, if you've got a bike that is not running, the reason it might not be running would be due to the dead battery, unsupported coil situation.
Sure.
So if you're looking at a machine and the guy's like, yeah, it won't start. Okay, cool. Well, maybe you can decide, I want to go over and see if this thing's got spark. Get the spark plug out real quick and then hook that battery up to it. Hook that 12-volt battery, the little one you've got hiding in your cargo pocket or your BDU shorts. Plug that sucker in, hook it up, give that bike a kick or two. You got good spark. He doesn't even know that, but you can get a good price because that bike was a non-runner as far as he was concerned. Another thing is be aware of titles. Know how hard it is to get a title in your particular state. It might be awful. That's something you need to know about because if the guy's selling you a bike and it doesn't have the title and the keys, you have a lot of power because getting a title for that bike could be a giant pain in the ass.
On the flip side though, if I was from a state where I could get a title easy, like people say Indiana, I don't even want your Ohio title. I throw that away. I just go in and I tell them I want a title.
Right.
I'd be going to swap meets and buying complete nice bikes with no title.
Yeah.
Just because I can get titles.
Titles are easy. I'd be only looking for bikes with no titles, because if you're in a state where titles are easy, that gives you an advantage to everyone else there. And you can afford to go under somebody on a price because you know you can get a title pretty easily. That's not our case in Ohio. We have to work a little bit harder. The other thing that's really good to know when you're in the swap meet and you're looking at stuff, look for the bike that is in the hands of the third owner, right? The first owner put a ton of miles on it, ran it into the ground, that's fine. The second owner got that bike and he put a lot of money into it. He put a lot of time and effort into making it right, but it's just not right. That's the time to buy the bike, because it's got new shocks on it, it's got a new electronic ignition on it, it's got all the cool stuff already put on it, but the guy's not happy with it and he just can't bring it home, so to speak. That's the guy you want to buy a bike from. He's got way too much money invested. He's got $2,000 worth of parts in the bike, but it's not sellable. It's not running. That's the bike I want to buy every single time. Because I look at that whole thing as a pile of money.
My personal preference is the trifecta. I look at the bodywork, the exhaust, and the seat.
Yeah.
If that much of the bike is really nice, and maybe it has one defect, maybe it's got a bad motor.
Right.
But it's got good exhaust. Everything is nice on it. All you have is one thing to fix.
Yeah.
You can go over. You go find a motor over here in the swap meet.
Absolutely.
You take that bike and that motor home, and you've got a really nice bike.
And it is crazy, but it's easier to find a good motor than it is to find a good gas tank and side panels.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely true when you're dealing with vintage motorcycles. You will look for 10 years to find a perfectly good side panel. You'll look for 10 years to find a perfectly good gas tank and a motor. But if you can find a bike that's got a bad motor, but everything else is cherry, buy that bike. That motor is going to be easy to come by, especially if it's Japanese.
Maybe the front end's crashed. Maybe you got bent forks or something like that. Well, you might be able to buy that front end right over here on a bike that's laying on its side with no title.
And that's a big thing about swap meets is kind of remember, it's chess. You're always playing towards your ultimate goal. So you could stop at 3 different booths and get a set of forks here, get a set of tins and a gas tank here, and get a frame and a motor over here. And in 3 stops, you've put together a really nice bike. Yeah. But you have to stay focused. You got to remember, okay, today I'm here for CB450s. That's what I'm looking for. Or maybe today I'm here for Elsinores, and that's all I'm looking for. Every time you go into a swap meet and you get distracted and you come home with 8 bad bikes, you've lost the swap meet. It's better to come home with 3 or 4 bikes of the same variety that you can put together to build one cherry, and then next year at the swap meet you've got all the extra parts that you can spread out, and that one guy who walks into your booth is going to be thrilled because everything you've got is exactly what he was looking for. Yeah, staying on focus is hard to do at a swap meet, but it will save you tons of money, and it will give you a good project by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and it never fails. You have to have really good knowledge about the bikes and everything like that. When you're walking through the swap meet between Phil and I and our friends, I mean, we can spot something like, oh, that's really nice. That's a nice, cherry parts that are going for cheap. Yeah. Some of that's been cut down a little bit by eBay. Most people, a lot of swap meets now are stuff that they don't want to bother putting on eBay or something like that. So there's a lot of shrapnel.
They can't figure it out. Yeah, a lot of shrapnel.
But most people aren't selling brand new pristine gas tanks for $20 anymore.
Here's a little tip too. If you like Laverdas and you're there to shop for Laverdas, don't wear a Laverda t-shirt. Don't be that guy. Nobody likes that guy. If I'm there buying Vespas, if my fetish is Vespas, if I'm wearing a Vespa shirt, I've already given the guy in the booth way too much knowledge. He's seen me coming literally at 200 feet away. Have the thing you're looking for the furthest from what you're doing. That will help you. It's better to walk into the booth and be like, oh, what you got there? That looks okay. I could probably put something together with that. Yeah, what's your best price? What can we do on that? And work to a price. But if you have basically shown your hand, if you're a Bultaco geek and you're wearing all the Bultaco flair, then it's going to be pretty obvious that that guy can charge you as much as he wants for that Bultaco part. It is part of being at a swap meet is being savvy. And remember, don't ever be afraid at a swap meet to make an offer on a price.
And when are you at the swap meet?
Right.
Are you at the open of the swap meet?
Yeah.
At the open of the swap meet, look at the trucks coming in.
Yes.
Look for nice bikes that you really want, and try to get to the guy before he even rolls it to his space. I mean, there's plenty of guys who try to show up a day early just so they can cherry pick stuff before it goes out.
Being early is a great tactic because
middle of the if it's a 2 or 3 day thing, middle of the week, that's like But then you get to the last day of the swap meet where people start loading up, and it's like, hey, you don't want to take that home? I'll give you this much money right now.
Saturday at lunchtime, everybody's beating the same stuff to death. Saturday at lunchtime, that's when guys who are smart will see what attention they're getting on which one of their bikes, and they know they can hold their price really firm on that one. But Sunday at about noon, that's when you see people getting really desperate when they go, I have X and I have Y trailer. And so those things, if they don't match up, you can get a really good deal. When I look at a swap meet, when we go in, Thursday night for me, or the beginning night when the vendors are coming in, is critical to me. I will go look at I'm kind of kooky for CB400Fs. I love super sports. And I will see a CB400F come in, and I will always approach the guy. Hey, that's a great CB400F you got in your truck. What's your target on that? What's your number? And if a guy tells me 1,200, deal's done, man. I'm done. I made my deal. I'm giving him the money. I got that bike. I own it. We have seen me roll up to bikes, and I have paid people exactly what they were asking, because to me that was the right price. I will pay the money for the bike, and I will enjoy it, and I'll be thrilled that I bought it. No questions asked. Sleepy is laughing his ass off.
That's never happened. I'm calling shenanigans.
We've also seen you drink too much and buy way fucking too much.
Okay, yeah, maybe then. Maybe then.
There will be a point where I'm 7 o'clock drunk at noon. Okay, and at that moment when I'm 7 o'clock drunk at noon, and we go out to buy bikes, if you've got the right bike and the right time and the right story, I'm your Huckleberry.
I need a new bike. What's out here?
I couldn't, look, by that point I hadn't bought a bike yet.
I need a bike.
And I was just raring to buy a bike. Now, for the record, I'm very happy I bought that Honda Dream. It turned out it was a honey of a deal.
I need some retail therapy.
I did need some retail therapy. And I went out and I bought a bike, literally. I saw that bike 90 feet away and I was like, I'm buying that bike. If he's asking less than $2,500, I'm buying that bike. And I was so drunk that the negotiation was like, no, I gotta give you 100 more. It was the worst negotiation ever. But the bike was legit, the bike was honest. Look, I pressed the button and it started, and it ran. And Chris Ashmore had crashed my Zero like 2 or 3 times on the way over to that bike, and I had to prove that we could salvage that situation. We bought that bike from the air conditioning of my Toyota Hiace, and it was one of the best deals I've ever made. So buying bikes, going to swap meets is a hoot. It's hilarious. It's so much fun. You can't have a bad time unless you want it to be a bad time.
Communication's key.
Yeah.
If you have bikes for sale, write your cell phone number on them.
Yeah.
If you're buying bikes and you give a guy an offer and he says no, don't be afraid to give him your name and cell phone number. Well, if you
change your mind, call me.
I'll give you this.
Communication is key. Boy,
you might get that call late on a Saturday or Sunday, like, hey. You know what? You said you'd give me $800 for it. Come here and get it.
Yeah, don't put a price on your bike unless you put a phone number to go with it. Because that's how we've sold so much stuff, is people calling us at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, were you serious about the 750 on that Honda? Yeah, I'm serious about the 750. Are you a buyer? We've bought bikes with flashlights in the dark at dark 30 with cocktails in our hands. Because when the deal's your deal, when it's right for you, make the purchase, buy the bike. Swap meets are so much fun. Just remember, there are swap meets where the price is the price, and there are swap meets where the price is a joke. The price is not even a suggestion. The price on the front of the bike might be 2.5 times what they're hoping to get for it. Understand your world. Know where you're working. If that's the kind of place it is, and the guy's asking $2,000, if you show up, dude, go ahead, offer him $750. Let's see where this goes. Don't be afraid to cut a guy in half and maybe some change. Swap meets are fun that way. Don't be afraid to get in deep and haggle and do all the cool stuff with them. But it's also a great place to get information. Man, we had a BSA that couldn't be started by God or man. And somebody came over and told us what was wrong and started the bike for the cost of a t-shirt. We said, t-shirt if you can start the BSA. And the right guy came along, and not only did he start it, but he told us what we had wrong. That was worth a t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
I love swap meets for that. That's where there's so much a resource of brain power there. That's where the enthusiasts go to buy their bikes. So visit your next local swap meet. I think you'll have a good time. If you go to AMA Vintage Day swap meet, you'll probably see us.
Yeah,
we'll be there for sure. So that was Moto Stories with Unkie Phil and my friend John McElfresh. We do these from time to time. You got to make sure to subscribe and check them out. They change here and there a little bit. We might talk about tech tips. We might talk about just adventures we've had in motorcycles. But the idea is it's supposed
post up
to be,
some comments. Talk about something you'd like us to talk about. And we'll talk about it.
Give us some suggestions. We'll cover all kinds of weird stuff. Airhawk versus beaded seat cover. We've been there. We'll do that. Sure,
Butt
we can go
beads.
there. Yeah, and we'll even have discussions about oil if you're not careful. So with that, please remember to ride fast and take chances, John. Press subscribe. Press subscribe.